Okay, we're live. This is great. Okay, everybody, I am so excited for my next guest. His name is Vitor Avila, and he is from Brasilia, Brazil. And we've actually met, but I'll go into that in a second. First of all, I want to show where you're at, Vitor. I'm going to, this is the hardest part for me, is sharing my screen, because I always share screen. Why does it say cancel? Chrome tab. StreamYard. Brasilia. Oh, okay. There we go. Can you see that?
There we go. Yeah.
Oh my God, they gave me a different tab to hit. So anyway, there you are. We'll do a little closer up. You are in Brasilia. Right there. Okay, so a little bit about Brazil. It's on the eastern side of South America. It is the largest country in South America and in Latin America. Brasilia is the federal capital of Brazil and the seat of government of the federal district. So you're kind of like, it's kind of like our Washington, D.C. in the United States, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. And there's over 4.5 million people in Brasilia. Not the whole country, obviously. and this is really interesting. It's laid out like an airplane.
Yeah, exactly. If you get a bit closer on the map, you're going to be able to see it.
Let me see if I can move this over so it's centered. You're still seeing my map?
Yeah.
Because I'm not seeing us at all right now. Yeah, you can kind of see it. I saw a better shot of it where they outlined it online, but yeah. But that's a really interesting thing. Of course, the language of Brazil is Portuguese. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen here. Go back to StreamYard. That was interesting. That was a different option than they've given me before. I've really messed it up before. Not saying that I didn't mess it up now, but so anyway, I've known, well, I met you. I've not known you really well. And this, I'll get to know you a little bit today. But we met at the Cuba Truth in New York City. And just so happened that was in July of 2019. And it just so happened that our wrap party happened on the 20th. And after midnight, when we were still partying, it was my 50th birthday. And you and Rox sang happy birthday to me. And Rox, she sang it to me in Spanish. She's from Mexico. And you sang it to me in Portuguese. And I have that video clip somewhere. And I wanted to find it for this, but I can't find it. I've got so many video clips. But anyway, I have so much stuff from that week of truth that I never even put on Facebook or anything like that. But that's how I met you. And you're known as Vegano Vitor on social media. You have over 23,000 subs on YouTube and over 19,000 followers on IG. So you are the biggest social media celebrity that's been on here with me, and I am thrilled to have you. Thank you so much for being my guest.
Well, thank you for inviting me. I'm thrilled to be here.
So what I want you to do is just go ahead and tell everybody a little bit about yourself and about the activism you're involved in.
All right. That might be a lot. I think.
No, go for it. Go for it.
All right. So my name is Vitor. I was born in Brasilia, the capital of Brazil, and I've been involved with activism ever since I became vegan, actually, about 5 years ago, almost 5 years ago. And I was, for my entire life, I always felt like I had like a different connection with animals. And only in 2016, I started like acting toward, like studying veganism, studying our relation with non-human animals, and that led up to me becoming a vegan, and also not only becoming a vegan, but also I felt that I had to do something more than just stopping eating animals. I wanted to help other people do the same, so that's why I created my YouTube page, my Instagram and Twitter accounts, and I started like doing videos for the internet and started helping people
Yeah,
like making this
you have a lot
transition.
of videos. You have what, over 200 videos on your.
Almost 200 now, yeah,
Okay. And
almost
you
200
used to
videos.
be a regional organizer. I'm a regional organizer for AV. You used to be one.
Yeah, I used
For
to be for Brazil. I actually I brought AV to Brazil officially, and uh, I think I left AV last year or the year before
yeah,
that
it
because
wasn't very long ago. It seems that
yeah,
you dropped out to do your other activism.
yeah, exactly. I wanted to focus as much as I possibly can on my accounts on YouTube, and actually it ended up being like the right decision because now that we are on a
Yeah,
pandemic, how would
you
you
can
say
reach
it?
people through social media now.
Yeah, totally. It's a lot a lot
How
better.
has lockdown been in Brazil? I mean, has it been hard for? I mean, obviously, I could talk to the regional now. As a matter of fact, your name was mentioned in one of our meetings the other day. He just mentioned it in passing that you used to be the regional organizer, and I was like, "Hey, I'm interviewing him in a couple of days, so I'm hoping he's watching." He said he would. The new regional organizer for Brazil, that is. Um, but anyway, how has it been for you? How is it been? Lockdown been bad for everybody in Brazil?
Actually, we have like the worst president in the whole world in terms of
I
dealing
don't know
with the
about that.
pandemic. So yeah, he's like a demon, I would say. Some people like to call him Tropical Trump, but but I think he's far worse. So there hasn't been like really severe lockdowns because he won't let it happen, and we've been. It's actually a very dark moment for Brazil as a whole because we have been um, um, how do I say that? We have been cursed with this president that I mean we have had more and more deaths per day as they passed. So we are now at 3,000 deaths a day
Oh my god!
for the past couple days, and that has been a burden for us, like an emotional burden for the country as a whole.
Yeah,
But
see,
I'm
that's the thing. I know some countries where they've complained that they had such a harsh lockdown that was an emotional burden to them, but they're also the ones that don't have many cases and it's
Mhm.
probably because of the lockdown. And I
Yeah,
mean,
exactly. We have a ton of negationists. I wouldn't know how to pronounce it correctly. Um,
I'm
People
not
who
sure.
don't trust like science, don't trust
Oh,
like the OMS. No, how would I say it?
conspiracy theorists is sometimes what they might be called. But
The
let's
World
not get
Health Organization. Yeah, yeah.
too
People don't trust the World Health Organization, and
yeah,
that's
I know.
a bad problem. Anyways, yeah, let's change subjects so that we don't
Yeah.
we don't start crying here.
Oh man. Okay, so are you originally from Brasilia or just Brazil in general? I mean, where are you from originally? You from there?
Yeah, I'm from Brasilia. Was born and raised in Brasilia. I
Okay.
lived in São Paulo for 3 years,
Yeah, because
and
see,
but
that's
I'm
why
back.
I asked because I thought that you were living somewhere else for a while.
Yeah, when I went to New York, I was living in São Paulo,
Okay.
and but now I'm back to Brasilia. Back, I'm closer to my parents now, and I'm able to take care of them.
Are they doing well?
They are now. They are. They were sick with COVID,
Oh,
and I was having to like do go to the grocery stores for them, and I could not hug them for a while, so that has been a problem. But now they're getting a lot better. Yeah,
they have recovered or they're on the way to recovery?
they are almost 100% recovered. They still have like some aches and the bodies,
Yeah.
like, but they are not like coughing anymore. So
Yeah.
that's good.
Yeah. I'm glad. I'm glad. So, why don't you tell us about a little bit about the culture? What's the culture and the food like there?
In Brasilia specifically, the food culture is a huge mixture of several different cultures from all different regions of Brazil. Brasilia was a planned city. It is like 50, 60 years old. Brasilia
Yeah,
is quite new. So there were a lot of people coming to Brasilia to help build it. And they came with their own cultures, their own habits regarding food and everything else. So we have a huge mixture here from people from the northeast, from the north, from the south, from the southeast, and I would say that the food here is one of the best because we
because you
have
get a
like,
mixture of all of it, right?
yeah, exactly, and a lot
Yeah,
of
Brazil is
fresh
such a huge
vegetables.
country. I can imagine how diverse it is from one side to the other,
Mhm.
and it's all mixing together in your city there.
Yeah, that's one of the aspects that our countries share, like a ton of different cultures in the very same country, but sometimes it really seems that they are different countries, such the difference between the cultures of one region to another.
Wow. And do you get a lot of people from all around the world there, I'm sure?
Usually on the tourists, there are tourists on the more common areas. They go to TV Tower, for example, or the cathedral. You're gonna like meet people from other countries, but usually tourists prefer to go to Rio or São Paulo
Yeah.
or Recife.
But I
I,
mean, do
I
you
don't
have a
blame
lot of
them.
expats there? Do you have like people like that, like there's certain areas, like let's say in Mexico or something like that, where a lot of Germans might move to. There's just different countries where certain nationalities like to immigrate to
Mhm.
in mass. Do you have anything like that?
Not in Brasilia. There are a ton of people from Asia. In São Paulo, there's a neighborhood there called the Freedom neighborhood, Bairro da Liberdade, and there are like a lot of Japanese over there. They have their own little ecosystem there. I love to go there to buy vegetables, different vegetables. There are
Oh
a lot
yeah.
of people from Germany in the south of Brazil as well, and from Italy. But none of them came to Brasilia. I think we're kind of in the middle of nowhere.
Okay. They go more to the, yeah, like Rio, where there's more festival, or yeah, more people know
Mhm,
about it. I'll be honest, I didn't know much about Brasilia
mhm.
itself until you said you were living there, and I looked into it and I was like, "Oh, I didn't realize that you had a federal capital."
Mhm. Yeah,
So,
and sometimes it almost looks a little bit like Washington, like the buildings are not super high or anything. We have a lot of trees as well, so it's a very safe and also, I would say, quiet place.
yeah,
We don't
because
have
you get a lot of
traffic.
governmental officials there. And you have the
Mhm.
embassy there?
Yeah, I used to work at the United States Embassy. That's where I learned to speak English.
Okay.
And there are a lot of embassies here, so you can connect to people from all kinds of different countries here.
That's awesome.
Mhm.
Okay, so let's see. How long have you told us a little bit about going vegan. Tell us again, how long have you been vegan again?
Almost 5 years now.
Just 5 years. Now, what was
Mhm.
it specifically that made you told us a little bit about that. You started seeing. Go ahead and please
Mhm.
tell me again. Tell me again.
So yeah, ever since I was a kid, I had some different experiences where I had different interactions with animals of other species, and I once saw a pig being killed at my neighbor's house, and
Oh,
it was very traumatic for me. I think it was the very first time where I made like the connection between the food that I was eating and the animal that was killed uh, to become that food in some way. And so I can I can remember some moments like that where I had this experience that made me helped me make the connection. And
so
it
so
was
wait a
on
minute. So did you had neighbors that had like little family farms?
it wasn't like a family farm. They did it to do a churrasco, like a barbecue, which is a very traditional kind of eating in Brazil, kind
And
of event.
they killed the pig themselves.
They killed the pig themselves. Yeah, they didn't raise pigs there. They probably bought it from. Actually, they probably bought ham.
Yeah,
There's this difference in between our languages, right? But
sure.
usually, people in the United States would say "it" for animals, right?
Well, that is something that we try to watch as well as vegan. Even here, we try to say them,
Mhm.
they, he, she. We try to get away from the word it as
Yeah.
well.
So.
But it's hard. I mean, I even catch myself saying, I call babies it sometimes. So, depends on the context.
Yeah, I
But I
get it.
understand.
Yeah, I try to do the same, although I don't speak English that often
No
anymore.
problem.
So yeah,
Yeah,
I saw.
I've been to I remember years ago, and I live in a college area, and I remember years ago before I was vegan, like decades before I was vegan, I went to a college party, and they were roasting a whole pig
Mhm,
at the party, and it was just the smell was
mhm,
awful. I don't know why I didn't make the connection back then. It's just because I didn't know what veganism was, and I didn't know anybody was vegan.
mhm,
But I do remember that it turned my stomach, and the sight and the smell and everything. I was just disgusted by it.
mhm.
But
Yeah,
prepackaged, it was fine, right? So I mean,
yeah,
I was the same as anybody else pre-vegan.
yeah.
So
I saw, like, during my teenage years, I'd say, I had like this different experience as well. Like meeting a vegetarian would make me think about it, and I didn't like to think about it. I liked like eating meat, and so it was only at 2016 that I started like really studying hard about this issue. I watched Conspiracy. I
what
watched.
was it that triggered that? Do you think that brought all that back up enough for you to finally like really look into it?
I think maybe it was. I was in a moment in my life where it was all very stable. I had like a good job. I was living in my own house. I had left my parents' house. I had a car. I had my motorbike. I was like, it was all like perfectly good in my life, and I started thinking that um, there are injustices happening in the world. I should be aware of it, and I started studying about it, not only about veganism but also about sexism and racism. And I started um, like trying to be active about it, but I didn't really know how. And once I watched Cowspiracy and Earthlings, I realized that I had to really do something about it. Not only stop eating animals, but also doing more than that. And that's when I decided to go vegan. And I have the exact date. It's August 15th, and that was the very last day where I ate animals for the very last time. So
That's
I
funny. A
celebrate
lot of
it as a
people.
birthday.
That's It's your birthday. You said.
Yeah, cause kind of my vegan birthday, I would
Yeah.
say.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that have a vegan anniversary, and I think that's wonderful. For me, I didn't really know I was going vegan. I mean, I kind of knew I was headed in that direction, but so I never actually had a date where I was like, I stopped this day. I was just kind of like, is
Mhm,
the more I learned,
mhm.
the more I
How long
eliminated.
have you been vegan for?
About 15 years.
15 years. Wow, it was
Yeah,
like a whole different word. I'm guessing, right, for vegan back then.
yeah, kind of. I mean, I started my journey like in a small city, like in the
Hmm.
middle of nowhere. It's actually farm area, farm and factories, and there was a college. There's a college there too, but and I didn't know anybody because I was taking care of my grandmother.
Hmm.
So really, I just knew old people, and I just went to funerals or church with my grandma. But so I was kind of in isolation in a way, and I was new to the internet.
Hmm.
Back then, we had MySpace.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Brazil didn't even That's MySpace. We went straight to Facebook, I guess.
Yeah, so I was just learning my way around, how to Google, and I was just I started going down the rabbit hole and learning more and more. So I didn't know anything about. I didn't know any vegans, and I moved to Chicago, started learning more, and I was with a boyfriend who was kind of on the same journey at the time with me, and it kind of grew, it snowballed, and the more I learned, the more I dropped out of I never had the intention of, like, I'm going vegan. I kind of knew it was going in a direction, I just didn't know where at the
Mhm,
time.
mhm,
um but yeah, I mean, I was I did an interview with Vegan Pixie Warrior, and she asked me about how I went vegan, and I was just like, it just kind of accumulated. I
mhm,
didn't
mhm.
I didn't know any. It took me 10 years to become an activist.
Oh
I
wow.
was vegan for 10
Mhm,
years before I knew you could do that.
mhm, mhm. Yeah, once
So,
I became vegan, there were a lot of activists, and
yeah.
so it was a lot easier for me. So that's why I asked, because I have a couple of friends in Brazil who have been vegan for like 20 years. They started it with the hardcore movement that
Okay.
had that like kind of ideology,
Yeah.
and they have been vegan ever since. And they tell me that they didn't have like knowledge about nutrition or anything, so they would
Yeah.
have deficiencies because of it, so they wouldn't like try to eat correctly to avoid, for example, b12 is something that
I
I
didn't
started
take
taking even
B12.
before.
I didn't take B12 for the first 10 years I was
Oh
vegan.
wow.
But you do supposedly store it up.
Yeah.
So I mean, I was probably living on my stores. Who knows?
Hmm.
I mean, I do take it every now and again, but I don't freak out when I don't. Um,
Hmm.
I probably haven't taken it for quite a while, to be honest with you. But
Hmm.
it's a lot of vegan foods are supplemented with it now. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, certainly we didn't have the foods that we have now. It's just leaps and bounds compared to, like, I've told people that used to be salads and fries is all I could eat when I went out. You know,
Yeah.
and,
I can
and I
only
think
imagine.
finally, when I moved to Chicago, it's like we finally had a pizza place that had a Daya cheese, and I could get that for my birthday. And even though Daya cheese is awful, sorry, I like the cheddar block though. I do like the cheddar block. Um, but they have so many better options nowadays. So,
Mhm.
but
I think that my
yeah, it
favorites
was a different
follow.
world. It was a different world. That's why I see so many people now. It's like, all these activists, and I'm like, how long have you been vegan? And it's like 2 years. Oh, and you're this like huge activist, and it's like, wow. I wish that I had known. Well, but then again, really, who would I have reached? Because it's just like, it's got to be an accumulation. It was a growth thing. You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Yeah, totally. Usually, when I did something like a lecture or even after a big cube of truth in São Paulo, I would ask people to raise their hand if they were vegan for more than 5 years, and like nobody raised their hands. And if they were vegan for more than 3 years, and like two people raised their hands. If they were vegan for less than a year, and almost everyone raised their hands. So that's something that made me um, very hopeful towards the future, I think, in regards to animal rights, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's amazing. Maybe people like myself who went vegan longer before that kind of the kind of street activism that's available now was available, or even social media activism.
Mm.
Because I did see people who did it, but not for the most part. It was just nutrition people and raw foodists
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that. They weren't for the animals so much as they are now.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, maybe the people like who've been vegan for a long time, they just kind of like got comfortable or something. Like, I've been doing this, I don't need to be an activist. I've been doing this for a while, and the people that are becoming vegan now, maybe they just feel like maybe they did it because of an activist, and
Mm-hmm.
because I didn't turn vegan necessarily because of an activist. Um, but a lot of people are now, and maybe that's just that's great.
Mm-hmm.
We need more activists. If you're vegan, you need to be an activist. That's all there is to
Mm-hmm.
it.
Yeah,
But
I think that there's another factor that plays a huge role as well with people that have been vegan for more than 10 years, I'd say, that by that time there were like no vegans whatsoever. So it was really hard for one person alone to do something like we are doing as like Anonymous Sort of Voices, for example,
yeah,
with like a ton of people coming together to fight for this cause. So I have a friend who's been vegan for 20 years or so, and he was the very first vegan that I met, and he was the first person who made me realize that uh, we do not need to eat animals, because if he wasn't eating and he was like fine, then it's probably not needed. So that was what I was thinking at the time. And he's not an activist. He never did anything like AV or like showing videos on the streets or anything like that. And I talking to him about it, I realized that that was like the a big issue for him, because for him, just by being vegan, just by like not eating animals, he was already being bullied by his friends. He was already treated as different, and I think that he would never want to highlight that or give people more reasons to exclude him or anything. So I think that plays a big role in
but then
him not.
again, it sounds like that, since he talked to you, and maybe he was doing a form of vegan, because I was kind of doing a form of vegan or veganism activism is what I meant to say.
Mhm.
And I wasn't aware of before I even turned vegan, because something that turned me vegan was the seal hunt. And now I didn't know it at the time. I wasn't vegan for quite a while after
Mhm.
that, but the seal hunt started turning me on to animal rights. And I made a whole write up. I found out about seal hunt. I was horrified. I made a whole huge write up about it. I passed out flyers. I talked to anybody I could about it. That was a
Mhm.
form of activism.
Totally, yeah,
And I
and
didn't
I
I didn't
agree.
even realize that I was, that it was becoming a form of vegan active, or I was becoming vegan at the
Mhm.
time. But yeah, that's kind of like when AV came around, I started seeing AV, it just felt perfect for me because um that's what I've been doing. I've been talking to people at bars. I've been talking to people at restaurants, at the gas station. Any place
Mhm.
I could, I've been having conversations. I started having them online
Mhm.
about my veganism. And so when AV came around, it was just a natural step for me
Mhm.
um, to go out and feel like I could see a little bit more of a result of what I was doing.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think sometimes you touch people that you don't even know that you touched. Sometimes just for example, this friend of mine, I had never talked to him, but people already told me that he was this weird kind of vegetarian who doesn't eat cheese or eggs. And I was
So they didn't
thinking
even
to
know what
myself,
vegan was.
yeah, exactly. And so I was thinking to myself, well, if he can do it, I probably can do it as well. So maybe just by knowing that, he was already doing something similar to activism. He was
Yeah,
being an example. He was showing everyone that it's possible.
yeah. So do you have any examples of anybody coming to you and telling you later that you made them go vegan?
Oh wow,
I'm
a
sure you
ton.
do. I mean, you have a
A
lot of great videos.
Yeah, a ton of examples. I love to connect to people on the internet, and it's very common for people to send me messages saying that I help them, and that is truly amazing. But sometimes I think that what one very specific person who made me like feel really happy about my activism was a friend of mine who I was not expecting him to go vegan, and he never told me anything. So I knew, because we have a friend in common who told me. So do you know that Alexandre has become a vegan? And I said, well, no, I don't. And only like a month later, when I was talking to him, he said, so you helped me a lot. Like your videos make really a lot of sense to me, and I decided to go vegan, and I was really touched by that because I didn't know it.
Doesn't it just make you want to cry sometimes? It's like, oh, you're so happy, it touches you so much. I had a guy, um, that I was friends with online, just through Facebook. I think we had become friends off of a mutual interest in a dog group,
Hmm.
and he was an American living in Thailand. So we didn't really talk. And then one day he wrote me this long message saying, um, I've seen all your posts about veganism. I went on there to look up what you were so angry about because I wanted to tell you that you were wrong, or I just knew you had to be wrong. And I
Hmm.
found out that you have every reason to be upset, and now I'm vegan.
Oh wow,
And I was like, oh, I cried. I
that's really
cried
powerful.
when I
Yeah.
read that. And I sent him like 3 cookbooks to Thailand. It cost me more than the cookbooks to send them, but I didn't care. I was
I
so
can
happy.
imagine.
I was just so thrilled. But I mean, when you hear that, it really touches you. It really does mean a lot. I mean, of course, for the animals, but to think that it really, feel like we really did make a difference, because we are trying to pay back all the things that we've done to the animals ourselves before we went vegan.
Hmm.
It
Hmm.
feels like we're trying to make up for that in a way, which we'll
Hmm.
never be able to do. Um,
Hmm.
but it's things like that. It feels like it's just you know made a little bit more difference than just me. You know.
Yeah, sometimes we can be. I don't know. I feel down sometimes when my videos don't have like the results that I was expecting. But when someone sends me a message and tells me, "Hey, you helped me a lot," even though you don't know it, you helped me a lot during my transition. I'm feeling a lot better. I'm feeling a lot healthier, and that makes it worthy. Makes me know that the work that I do is worth it. And even more now that I'm trying to live exclusively from activism, I
Yeah.
created kind of a Brazilian Patreon page, and so my followers can support my work a little bit every month, and that's been a journey, and it's been really, how do I put it, satisfying, I would say, to see that I'm accomplishing that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, how long did it take you to like feel like you're finally gaining some traction in social media once you started making your videos regularly?
It's hard to say. There were a couple of moments, some videos that went viral, and some posts that went viral, and I had like a huge growth for a couple days, and those were the moments where I thought, I think I'm getting there. But I try to remember always where of when I started. When I started my YouTube channel, I watched other YouTubers, and there was this girl, this woman who was talking about veganism, and she had, I think, 6,000 subscribers, and I was thinking to myself, "Oh my God, that's a lot! That's a lot of people."
Yeah.
And
I only have about 125, so
so yeah, I think that you're gonna get there, and when you have like 6,000 subscribers, you're gonna look at people who have like 20,000, and you're gonna say, "Oh my God, they have so many
well, I,
subscribers,"
I think I really need to spend more time on learning how to do technology better. I mean, like, editing and stuff like that. That might help.
Mm. Yeah, it might, yeah, but I think that the most important thing would be being constant with your content. Just posting at least one video a week, have a specific day to post it, and also use other social medias to drive people from one to another. And I think that's like that.
Yeah.
There's no easy way to do it. There's no magic formula. It's just about
It
like
can be
keep doing it.
exhausting. I mean, I am trying to do the regular content once a week on a certain day. That's what I'm doing here. Is every Wednesday I'm trying to do a live video or
Mhm.
interview. I know I need to put out different other kinds of content too, but it can be exhausting. Even just like I share, I share the links to Facebook, but I'm just learning how to share stuff on Instagram. I mean, and reshare other
Mhm.
people's like it's like I need to learn that stuff.
Mhm.
It can be exhausting.
Yeah, it really can be. It's like
Vegan Gay said, "How does one tech?" What's that mean? That's Ellie. Do you ever watch Vegan Gays?
I don't really know.
You should watch Vegan Gays sometime if you get a chance. That's Ellie. She's from the UK,
I will. I
but
will.
she's a great activist. But she said, I saw one of her comments says, "How does one tech?" Is that a way of saying how do we learn technology? Because I don't know. Somebody needs to teach me. Somebody
Yeah, me
needs to
too.
teach me. My roommate, he knows stuff about technology, but he's a horrible teacher. So I mean, I get really frustrated. I can't. It's very hard for me to learn from him.
Yeah, I
So
try to learn everything from YouTube. It's my
yeah.
best teacher.
Actually, I've watched a lot of stuff on YouTube. I think he does too. So, oh, she says she can teach me how to edit. That would be great. I would appreciate that. I need somebody. Okay, so I was going to ask you: are any of your family or friends vegan? What do they think your veganism?
Well, when I became a vegan, my parents were. My mom was a vegetarian, but my dad, he was kind of a excusitarian, I would
Yeah.
say. But my mom is now a vegan, like 200% vegan. She's
Oh, that's
amazing. She
awesome.
cooks amazing food and cakes, and we have like an amazing relationship. My dad, he's not like vegan yet, I think, but he at least at home he does not consume like animal products whatsoever. So at my
Well,
parents' place,
that's nice that
it
he's respectful.
yeah, and also I have a significant other, Barbara, and she's vegan. She became vegan, I think, 2 months after I did. So we've been in this journey together for a long
You've
time
been
now.
together for a long time.
Yeah, almost. Yeah, I think we've been living together for more than 3 years now. So it's really joyful, like having someone close to you, preparing meals together, and yeah, my friends. I made a ton of new friends, so I have a lot of vegan friends.
Well,
That's
once you
not a
become an
problem.
activist, you make tons of new friends.
Yeah, I think that's really the best way to make vegan friends is just like joining an activism group. And AV was amazing in that way for me because I met a ton of different people from all across the world,
Yeah.
and just such as yourself. So, uh,
Yeah, I mean, I say, I'm doing this because I always wanted to travel, and I haven't really been able to do that. And it's like through AV, I mean, I could probably travel almost anywhere if I can travel, and have and know somebody because of
mhm.
AV, which
Yeah,
is
exactly.
wonderful. And now I'm doing this to get to know people all over the world and kind of live vicariously through you. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Yeah, I do. I was in 2018. I went to Berlin, to London, and I met people from AV in those places, and it was like amazing. I already had someone to contact over there. Uh, the Week of Truth was also like an amazing experience for me, meeting people from all across the world, meet people from Mexico, from Spain, from China. It was really, really a very rich experience, I'd say. Yeah, and all activism did it, you know.
Yeah, I've actually I did travel to Mexico after I joined AV. After I became an organizer and a regional organizer, I ended up going down to Mexico and doing Cube with people down there and doing their national Cube of Truth in Mexico City, and that's how I met Rox. And then you know, um, and then I no wait a minute, I met Rox in Toronto before I saw her in
Oh
Mexico.
wow!
Anyway, I ended up doing
Mhm.
cubes with Rox Samano in Mexico City, in Toronto, and in New York. So
Wow, that's amazing.
yeah,
I also went to LA once. I worked at Animal Equality. We did like kind of a retreatment
yeah.
there, and I was at Veggie Grill. It was our first night out, like having dinner, and I when I was like preparing to order food, there came in people who were coming from a cube of truth, and I saw people with the Anonymous for the Voices T-shirt, and I said, "Hey, how's it going? I'm an organizer in Brazil," and they were so thrilled to to
Yeah,
meet me
that's
there. We took a
awesome.
photo. Yeah, it was amazing. So uh, it's really incredible to see that you can make these connections like all around the world through this
You're
very thing that we
automatically
have in common.
family,
Yeah,
you
exactly.
know?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's great because like I would go to the east coast of Mexico in Quintana Roo around um Cancun, Tulum and Playa del Carmen. And so that's far from Mexico City, which is towards the center or to the west. Um but I mean I've like made have family there now
Wow.
because of my involvement with AV, you know. Otherwise I would have just been going there and being by myself,
Mm-hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
know, but because of AV, I now know people there. It's like I feel at home there. It's wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
I love it there.
Yeah.
Mexico City too. So, you know.
Yeah, I have a plan to travel all around Brazil by car and stopping in different cities and meeting different people talking about veganism and other like social justice movements and
Yeah.
just making these connections, creating content, videos, doing interviews. So I'm really hoping for the vaccine to come
Oh.
as soon as possible, so we can do
Yeah,
that.
that would be great for your channel to do like traveling and meeting vegans all over Brazil. Like how
Mhm.
many you have different states in Brazil, right? Just like the
Yeah,
United States
20,
does,
27 states.
27 states. So
Yeah.
yeah, just kind of do a like, you know, a vegan in each state kind of
Yeah,
travel
in
blog.
Brazil is a bit different from the US because the states in the US have like a lot of autonomy. They can have very specifics and different laws
Yeah.
depending on the states. And in Brazil, we have more of a central government that rules over all the states, and they are not that independent. But of course, they have their different cultures. Like the
Yeah, I
way
figured
people talk
they
is
all speak
different.
different cultures, yeah.
Yeah, the food is also pretty different. From in the north of Brazil, there are a lot of very traditional food from indigenous people who've been there for like
Yeah.
millennia, and we have tapioca. We have acai. So these are foods that I
Oh,
think
yeah.
they
Superfoods.
went. Yeah,
I love
totally.
tapioca. Love tapioca.
So
So,
they eat a lot.
so would you say it's hard or easy to be vegan in Brazil then?
I would say that for it's not hard in regards to food. One thing that I think is very interesting in Brazil, we have a culture of self-service restaurants. Self-service, is that like correct way to saying
I
that?
think so,
Where
yes. I think that's what yes.
self-service, so you can get your own food. You
Okay,
have a
yes,
food court where you
self-service.
can grab whatever you want. In the US, it a lot less common. You usually have to order food at the table, and with this self-service
So
culture,
the self-service, you mean kind of like a buffet type area? Like,
yeah,
okay, okay.
exactly, yeah, kind of a buffet, and so we can just grab the things that we know we can eat, like vegetable salad, rice and beans, which is very traditional all across
Yeah,
all around Brazil.
yeah.
And so, in that sense, it's really easy to become vegan. I think that the hardest part for Brazilians is like the lack of access to information. So there are a lot of people who simply doesn't have access to the internet yet in Brazil. So that is quite difficult. It makes it quite difficult because when I'm remembering all the ways in which I studied about veganism, it was all through the internet. So
It was
that
all
makes it,
through the internet.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it makes it a lot more difficult for Brazilians to become vegans because of that. And also sometimes for most of the people here, we have like this huge, um, I would I don't know how to put it. We have this. We think that protein only comes from meat and that you have to eat tons of it to be healthy, you know.
That is a
Uh,
universal thing. This is what I
yeah.
love about doing these interviews.
Mhm.
Doesn't matter who I talk, where I'm talking to somebody from. We all have, as vegans, we all have the same universal questions and problems. Where do you get your protein? Everybody, it doesn't matter what culture you're in. Now you're going to see like Brazilian steakhouses in America, in United States,
Mhm. Mhm.
but it doesn't mean like, we have the same culture here. We have, Outback Steakhouse, Australia, whatever. They put another name on it like it's exotic. It's still part of our culture. It's part of human culture.
Yeah, I
It
guess
doesn't
so.
matter
And
where
I
you
think
come from.
it's also part of a like propaganda effort
Oh
as
yeah,
well to make us
it's
think
big
that we
money.
need.
It's all intertwined. It's all politics and
Mhm.
big money.
And
They
so
they have
Brazil,
no they have no boundaries. you
no,
know?
they have not,
No,
none whatsoever. And Brazil being like a huge meat producer, a huge soy producer,
and
and
it's
of
mainly because of
course,
American companies.
yeah,
You know,
that's correct.
we're the ones destroying the Amazon for our McDonald's hamburgers.
Mhm. Yeah, that's been really sad in the past few years. So this president that was talking about, Bolsonaro, he had like the environmental minister in Brazil. He is he's like attached with people from like I'm trying to find the word rural, no como eu falo pecuarista, cattle farmers. I think
Cattle
that's the word.
farmers,
Yeah.
yes. I was gonna say
So
ranchers, cattle ranchers.
ranchers, yeah.
Yeah.
So he's
No,
attached
I
to these
actually have
people.
seen some stuff in documentaries about him, about the corruption and everybody taking the money to like do these illegal burnings and
Exactly.
just
Yeah. So.
and him like getting really pissed off, being like, we need the money. The money's more important. Fuck the
Mhm.
Amazon.
Exactly.
It's just awful. It's awful
Yeah.
because Brazil is its own country, but that's the lungs of the whole world, and it's affecting. It's kind of like when I talked to the guy from Ghana, and they have illegal burnings in Air Force and poaching and stuff like that. It affects that belt affects
Hmm.
the whole entire world, even though it's their countries or
Hmm.
your country or whatever. You know what I mean? And
Hmm. Totally.
oh, it's so hard and it's so political
Hmm.
and
Yeah. Sometimes we get a lot really tired. So I was in São Paulo when we had like a dark day in the middle of the day. It all went dark because of the fires
yeah,
and in the Amazon. They burned and the ashes went all the way to São Paulo. It was like incredible. I mean, I couldn't believe it when I saw it. So that brought a lot of attention to these fires, and I
no, I
hope
mean
that.
there was I've seen satellite. I think that's how I came to find out about your president, is because I watched about when they were talking about the out of control burning. What was it, last 2 years? In the last 2 years
Yeah.
now,
Hmm.
and it just I'm getting chills talking about it because I mean that's how bad it was. It's
Hmm.
it's so sad. I mean, the Australian fires were horrible, natural disaster, kind of a natural disaster. Somebody might correct me on that if that had to do with something American done, but or American. I want to blame America. Human done. Um, but I remember like the fires going on down there. It was just it's just it's bone chilling. It makes me want to cry, to be honest with you. It makes me really sad.
Yeah, we're tough times here, and that all of that was encouraged by the president. So
Yeah,
they had like WhatsApp group conversations talking about it, saying that now that Jair is the president, we can basically do whatever we want and burn the forest down. We're not gonna be in trouble because of it, and it has proven to be correct. You don't have people in jail for those fires yet.
yeah. But what about your right to protest it? Do you have that? Do you have that freedom?
We do, yeah. We protest a lot. Of course, we are faced with police violence when we do so. But during the pandemic, the protests are all on hold, I would say. So some people say that our president is trying to hold the vaccine because he doesn't want people to get vaccinated, and he doesn't want people to be able to do huge protests as we did during the election that ended up electing him. Yeah, so it's a tough period for
Yeah,
for
that's
Brazilians.
hard. Wow, that's a very complicated situation.
Yeah, it is, but it's gonna pass.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's gonna pass, and I think we have like better years to come in the future.
Let's hope so, or else we might not have no years to come if it just keeps going this way. You know what I mean? It's like, when
I
will these
do.
people learn? I mean, what's going to wake these people up? You know,
Mhm. Yeah,
they don't
and
care
it's
until they'd rather see the world burn for a piece of bacon.
mhm, mhm.
It's sad, because they don't
Yeah.
see what's going to happen. They don't see the long term effects. They don't think they're going to be living that long anyway.
Mhm.
So they don't care. And
But
I
in
often find it funny that most vegans care about people's children more than they care about their own children's future,
Mhm, mhm,
because we're actually trying to have a future for them.
mhm,
You know,
mhm.
I don't
Yeah.
have any children, and I probably do more for most meat eaters' children than they do for their children. What I
Mhm. I do, I get it. But in some sense, even those disasters, I think that they are kind of a sparkle that wakes some people up. So a lot of people started, uh, maybe did not become vegan, but started thinking about it, started thinking about their habits and how it is impacting the world. And we, as a movement in Brazil, we try to make this connection, really try to make people aware of the connection between meat eating and the rainforest destruction.
Yeah.
And we were very successful in that sense. So I think that the movement has never been bigger, has never been stronger, and I think it's gonna continue to grow, and until maybe some 30 years from now,
Well, I
maybe
tell you
half of
what,
the people.
it's like we said before, it's either gonna grow or we're just gonna decline. It's gonna
Mhm,
go one way or the other. We're not gonna stay in the middle stable. If people think they can just stay comfortable in the middle, they are
mhm,
so mistaken, because we
mhm,
are at the point where it's one way or the other.
mhm, mhm.
And yeah, it's
Yeah,
which
and the
way
other
will
way
you
is not
choose? Are
not
they gonna
pretty.
wait too long?
Mhm.
So, how do people view animal rights in Brazil? I mean, you're talking about the environment. You can appeal to them because of the environmental problems, but how do
Mhm.
people view animal rights?
For the most part, people are, I think, uh, in that sense, people all around the world are very different, are very similar. By the conversations that I had in Berlin or in the US, I think that everyone really cares about it, but does not have the information or the resources to do something about it. And most people still have this, like, that very wrong idea that if we treat animals well, like the welfarists
Yeah,
would say,
welfare. Yeah,
we can like eat them with no problem
yeah. There's got to be a
whatsoever.
better way to kill them. Is what they
Mhm.
feel like. Yeah.
Or yeah, or an ethical way to do it. So
Like, I
I
don't want to
think
see
that
them suffer, but I do want to eat them.
Mhm, mhm. Just do it like really far from my house, please.
Yeah, just do it behind a concrete wall where I don't have to see it.
But yeah, I think that the
That's pretty universal. Yeah.
but it has been changing, and it has been a part of my activism to make sure that people understand that animal rights is not like a joke. It's not just related to welfare, is not related to how we treat animals, is related to a different understanding of the world, a different viewing, a different way to see it, to
Yeah.
see our relations between ourselves and animals of other species. And it's kind of a stance, sometimes I used to define veganism as a lifestyle. I try not to do it any longer. I feel it's more like a stance, a different way to see the world.
A justice movement is the way I look at it. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. It's a justice movement.
Yeah, I don't really say lifestyle either. It's a justice movement. You have to care about justice, and you don't even have to like animals to care about justice. I'm not particularly fond of specific animals, species of animals. They're not my favorite. Sometimes I don't want to be around animals at all. But damn it, I believe in justice, and just like you don't have to care about a homeless person on the street to stand up if somebody's kicking them. It's I don't have to love that person to know that that is wrong. I don't even have to care about them to stand up and say stop. That's wrong. And that's the way I look at this. That's the way I look at veganism.
Totally. And sometimes even my neighbor, I don't have to like my neighbor to refrain from killing him and eating his flesh,
He probably tastes nasty anyway. The only reason I'm not a cannibal is because people are diseased, they're nasty, they're gross too. No, but by the way, if anybody gets a chance, I just learned this recently in case nobody else knows this. I just learned it from playing around. You speak Portuguese on your YouTube channel, but if you go on there and hit closed caption, it'll come up in Portuguese. But if you go over, there's another button where you can hit the settings, and it's the default is Portuguese, but you can pick another language. You can pick, and it comes up in English very well on the subtitle. Wow. So now I'm going to be catching up on all your videos, all about 200 of them. Because now I can actually, I can understand a word here and there that's a little bit like Spanish, but yeah, Portuguese is harder. But yeah, now that I know that I can watch in closed caption in English, I'm gonna be catching up on your videos, definitely.
Yeah, Portuguese is definitely a very hard language to learn.
It's tricky. I'm sure there's a trick to it, though.
Yeah, when I worked at the U.S. Embassy in Brasilia. It was really difficult for diplomats to learn Portuguese and speak like properly. It was really difficult.
But you guys have all that, don't you? I mean, isn't the UN known for having all the translators and stuff? So don't you have a bunch of translators? You can make money off of being a translator.
Yeah, but we didn't usually use it because Brazilians who work at the embassy are required to know how to talk in English. So we usually just talked in English. Yeah.
If they did that to Americans, we'd have less politicians. I'll tell you that. So I want to ask you, what's your favorite form of activism?
Wow, that's a tough question, but I would say that because I love like recording videos. I love doing it. I love like writing the scripts and preparing the camera and the lightnings and everything. But I think that it really makes me like want to leave my house and wake up, and it's really talking to people on the streets. And I miss it a lot because I've been isolating, and I miss it a lot. Like just talking to people. It's maybe probably going to be a bit hard.
You were really good at outreach. I remember seeing you perform at the. We didn't get to talk a lot at the Cube of Truth in New York because you and I were both regional organizers. So of course we were in charge of keeping watch on our sides of the cubes or doing outreach. But I did happen to catch you. I saw a couple of your conversations, and you're very passionate, very good outreacher.
Oh, thank you.
I think I called on you once. I think I had somebody that spoke Portuguese. I think I came and grabbed you out of the crowd at one time. I can't remember if that was you. I know I did it with somebody that spoke Arabic.
Oh wow, it happened, and that was, I think, one of the most interesting parts of the whole experience was like having someone who does not speak my language. And I would say just a minute. Stay here.
And then go find somebody.
Find someone with the with the
flag. Put a little sticker on there that said what language they spoke. I was so jealous of them. I was like, I want to be one of those people that has a little language badge.
It was incredible. But yeah, like really talking to people and seeing them thinking about it. Sometimes I think I could even hear like the engines turning inside their heads.
Little hamster wheel going.
Yeah.
So, do you
Exactly.
think that once you're able, you'll be going out to join a Cube of Truth and just getting back out there on the
Totally.
streets to get one on one, get your hands dirty, so to speak?
Totally, totally.
Yeah,
Yeah. We have like great activists in Brasilia. We have a bunch of people who are really eager to start doing it again. And I also have the plan to do interviews. I love doing interviews with people, like asking difficult questions. And sometimes I would do that on my channel, and it really, it's difficult, it's hard because I'm dealing with people who I don't know, who I don't know how they're going to react, but
sure.
I think that's really, it's helpful for everyone. These videos tend to have a lot of people watching them and tend to be really helpful in educating people in regards to veganism. So I want to do that more often once this pandemic is over.
Yeah, I mean, I don't, these interviews that I'm doing are pretty, like, it's basically just about, can you be vegan in this place in the world? It's not the hard hitting, more controversial things, though we
Mhm,
can touch on a little bit of politics. I like to keep it to, like, just showing people that it is possible, or how you make it possible in your part of the world to be
mhm,
vegan.
mhm.
Um, so I
Yeah,
don't
and
ask the really hard hitting questions. Maybe one day when I'm a little more seasoned and I'm a little better at this,
mhm.
I'll be the Barbara Walters of the. No, I'm just kidding. But maybe one day I'll start asking more in depth, hard hitting questions. But yeah, I mean, I think that's definitely needed. That's definitely needed. We need real conversations going on.
Mhm.
You know.
Yeah, totally.
So
Yeah, and I think it helps not only in regards to the information that you're giving to people, but also in the way that we speak. Because when we do outreach, we don't scream at people. We don't point fingers at their faces. We are respectful. We present our ideas in a very respectful manner. So that also helps, even in a more not so direct way. People are going to learn that vegans are not extreme. They're not like throwing like fake blood in everyone. Not that you shouldn't do that. Sometimes I
yeah,
think that's
there's bitches
interesting.
that do that. There's all kinds of styles. We need them all. But
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
but I do like, people like perspective philosophy and, Cosmic Skeptic. I loved it when he became vegan. I used to watch him before he became vegan, so I was thrilled when he became vegan. Because we do need to, these are serious conversations that we need to be having. They're serious intellectual conversations, and no, we're not just a bunch of like kids running around like trying to rebel against something,
Mhm,
or just
mhm,
stand for something. These are serious issues that people of all walks of life and all ages need to be discussing.
mhm.
And
Totally.
yeah, that's why I appreciate some of the content that is coming out. Some of the conversations that is coming out is really wonderful. Some of the the YouTube stuff is an incredible outreach. Really, I mean, like
Mhm,
vegan gays, Ellie, she's an example of doing she does outreach on, she does it online.
mhm.
She has conversations with people. I love seeing that stuff.
I've been trying to reach people who would want to do this kind of conversations online on my channel, as a just as we are doing. But I would like to have like a someone who's like against veganism, maybe,
Yeah.
to talk to me and have this kind of conversation. But
Anti-vegan debate, yeah.
yeah, but no one showed up so far.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think
Oh,
they like to post like bacon pictures on our social media, but they do not have the guts to face us on
they're
a
too scared.
serious debate.
Maybe you gotta reach out to an English speaking audience, because we got plenty of them that are like dumb enough to come in and try to
Hmm.
debate people online that speak English.
Yeah, it's a bit harder for me to do outreach in English, but I if there's none, there's
I
no.
don't see how. You speak perfect English. You sound, I mean, you sound great.
Oh, thank you. Because
Yeah.
it's really hard sometimes to get like the right idea across when I'm talking in English, and
I think
But
you've been doing an incredible job. So
oh, thank
I think you would do just fine. It'd be good
thank you.
practice for you.
Maybe I will then. Maybe I
Yeah.
will try to reach to people around the world.
So you got plenty of English speaking meatheads, I'll tell you what. So if a vegan visits Brasilia,
Mhm.
I want to say Brazil, Brasilia.
Brasilia,
Sorry.
perfect, perfect, perfect.
Yeah, it kind of trips me up. Where should they go? And then what is your favorite vegan dish they should try?
Um, my favorite vegan dish is stroganoff. Do you know this?
Beef. Well, I grew up with beef stroganoff. That's like a German dish, I thought.
It's Russian. It
Oh,
involves
Russian.
mustard
Yes, of course. I'm
originally,
sorry.
yeah, but we do it with mushrooms of tofu or maybe some kind of fake meat, and it tastes delicious with my mom. She did it. It was my favorite dish
Yeah.
before I was vegan. She did like the traditional recipe with how do I say it? Like milk, but
Hmm.
the
Yeah.
more dense
Cream.
milk cream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cream.
So she used to use cream. Now she does like a cashew cream milk,
Yeah.
and it tastes delicious with
That
ketchup
is
and
so funny. I grew up, my mom used to make stroganoff when I was growing up too. That was
oh
one
wow.
of my mom didn't cook a lot. I mean, she
Hmm.
wasn't a chef.
Hmm.
Her go-tos were pretty basic. Spaghetti saw, spaghetti. Um, I still use her recipe for potato salad, except for I veganize it. Meatloaf
Hmm.
and stroganoff was one of her favorite things to make. So I actually now you made me really crave that. Now I'm going to have to go make some.
I'm gonna make sure to write it down, my mom's recipe for you to
Yes.
try, because it's really is delicious. And so when she became a vegan, she veganized her recipes as well, and that's my favorite. And where a vegan should go if coming to Brasilia, I would say that there's a restaurant here. It's called Apetite Natural. It would translate to natural quench maybe, or thirst. I would not. I'm not
Okay.
really sure. Uh, and they have like a buffet system, as I said before. They
Yeah.
also have kind of a bakery where they have sweets and
And
snacks that
everything's
you can
vegan?
buy. Every single thing is vegan,
Do you
and
have a lot of vegan restaurants there?
at least I would say 8 in
Just in
Brasilia.
Brasilia.
Yeah, and I'm talking about
Wow.
exclusively vegan places. Not if we are talking about places with vegan options, there's a ton. It's hard to keep track of them. But vegan places, there are at least 8 that I can
That's really
think
good
of
because
right now.
Brasilia itself is not that huge of
No,
an
it's
area.
yeah,
So
it's
that's
quite
that's a pretty good amount of restaurants for that area.
yeah, totally. And it's all of them have different like specialities. Some are more kind of like a cafe vegan, and others more like a fancy dinner or something. So yeah, we have tons of options. I would say that Apetite Natural is one there's kind of more, you're gonna get a little bit of everything over there. So yeah, that's the place to go.
Well,
And
that's
if
wonderful. What about like tourism? Like what? I mean, well, you're kind of like being in Washington D.C. I mean, what would they see? What would they come to see in that
I'm
area?
sorry, I think the your voice is kind of robotic to
I'm
me
sorry.
right now. I
What would they come to see in that area? Like instead of not just eating, but what would like tourists or like
oh,
what would be a good thing for them to see that doesn't involve food?
so Brasilia itself is a very different city. It was
Sure.
planned from the beginning. So just by walking by the buildings, it's already kind of a tourist thing to do. But I
Okay.
have a special. The cathedral in Brasilia has a special place in my heart. The architecture of the cathedral
How old
is
is the cathedral?
it is 30, 50 years old.
50?
50,
Okay.
yeah.
But is it
And
really grand like big Catholic cathedrals are usually?
it's really different from every single one of the cathedrals that you have ever seen. If you just search for Brasilia
Okay.
Cathedral, you're gonna be amazed because it really is different from. And I'm not like a religious person. I'm not saying
Yeah.
that because I feel like it's a sacred place or
Well, no,
anything.
I mean I'm not either. But of course, when I was in Mexico City, I had to go to all the churches. They're grand. They're incredible.
Mhm.
Just the stuff they have inside. It's just amazing. The architecture is amazing.
Stacy, your I
Am I
think
cutting
I'm
out again?
not sure if it's my connection or yours, but I feel like I'm losing some of the words.
I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you, but it's kind of robotic. The voice. I'm not really sure.
Well,
And
I
also,
got
your
a
image is
Wi-Fi
flickering.
booster for this, so I'll be really upset if it's my connection because I did buy a Wi-Fi booster for this.
Oh, I see.
It am I still
Oh,
cutting out?
no, no, no. That's problem solved.
Okay. I'm like, damn it, I have to send this Wi-Fi booster back. All right. Well, you know what? We've been on here for about an hour and 10 minutes.
Mhm.
And we're almost to the end. So let me go ahead and ask you a couple more questions.
Sure.
How do people get involved in their local vegan community there
Uh,
if they come to visit?
Talk to me. I'll
Yeah.
introduce I'll introduce anyone who wants to get involved because I know people from all around Brazil because of AV, and I can just refer them anyone who wants to do activism here to the right person, the right place.
Perfect. Yes, of course. All right. So finally, I'm going to ask you another question. One last question. Where would you like to visit one day and learn about veganism there?
I I was like such a nerd when I was younger. I'm still a nerd, and I had like this fascination for Japan, like in the medieval times of Japan. And I would love to go there and see how the vegan movement. I think it's growing a lot. I know I have a vegan friend, who went there like more than 10 years ago, and he said it was really difficult for him because they have like fish sauce and everything, and the fruits there are really expensive. But I'm pretty sure that's a lot different nowadays. I would love to go there and um, get to know like the places that I've seen on the internet and the books I read and everything. So yeah, Japan is a very is a place that I would like very much to go.
Well, see, that question is also a way for me to figure out who I should try to get an interview with next. So maybe I'll try to find somebody from Japan.
When I was in IV, I think there was not like
I think
a
we have a
strong
chapter
group
there.
there. Yeah, in Tokyo probably.
I think so. Yeah,
Mhm.
I'd have to look it up, but I think we did. At least we did have a chapter
Mhm. Yeah,
there.
you would be amazing to because the culture there is so different, at least from my own. It would be amazing to make this connection with someone there and see how veganism is
Yeah.
uh, holding up in Japan.
All right. So what I usually do now is see if anybody has any questions. We have 8 people still watching.
Mhm.
People have been chatting just cordially in the comments section. But if anybody has any questions for uh, Vitor, why don't you ask him now
Mhm.
before we let him go and wrap this
Yeah,
up?
please do. I would love to answer a couple questions.
And definitely all his information and how to find him on social media, all of his links are underneath the video. So definitely check out his YouTube channel. Check him out on Instagram.
Mhm.
Um, and I gave you the instructions on how to get closed captioning in English. So, so you can watch his videos. No excuse. All right, guys. I'm going to give you a second here. Nobody's been talking for a while, but I do see that 8 people are still watching. We don't get a lot of questions. Oh, one question that I have been having that I think is an interesting one. I should probably add it to my list. What about like synthetic leathers, like alternatives to what people wear? Animal products that people usually wear. Do you have a lot of those there?
We do, but mostly on specific websites on the internet where you can buy. There are not a ton of these kind of alternatives in stores that you would go to. I have kind of a. I'm not really sure how to position myself in regards to fake leather, because I feel like it's helpful for some people who are maybe transitioning, but I have this idea in my mind that someday when the whole world is vegan, we're just gonna try not to like make
Imitate.
stuff that
Yeah.
reminds us of leather or
Sure.
fur or anything like that. I try not
Sure.
to judge like vegans who use fake leather and everything, but I myself personally I don't I don't like
Yeah, I
those
think
things
it's an
that much.
aesthetic for some people. For other people, it might be durability, and it would depend on what materials it's made from. But what about like, do you have easily accessible like products like vegan shampoos and stuff like that that are openly like advertised as vegan
Uh,
or cruelty
this
free?
Yeah, in regards to shampoos and stuff like that, there are a couple of brands in Brazil who are which are very accessible, and that's really good. We've been struggling more lately, I think, with more accessible like milk, vegan milk
Really?
brands, or
That's usually
vegan
the easiest
cheese.
one because it's just like there's so many options.
Yeah, for in the US or in the UK, for example, it's really easy and it's really cheap.
Well,
But
it's
in
easier to
Brazil,
make it at home. Soy milk is easy to make at home.
oh yeah,
Cashew milk,
in that case it is, and it's
oat
usually
milk.
what I do. But for
Yeah.
most people who like prefer to buy them like industrialized, which I do not recommend. But
So
anyways,
they just don't have a lot of manufacturing and distribution of those items there, huh?
it's been growing, but it's really expensive. It's sometimes
Yeah.
5 to 10 times more expensive than regular like cow's milk.
Get in on that racket. You need to
Yeah,
start making your own cashew milk and selling it cheaper than most people would and still be making a profit.
I'd probably making a lot more money than I'm making right
I
now.
think I told my friend from Russia the same thing about cheeses. He said that they had because of an embargo or something like that, they stopped getting European cheeses, and everybody was upset. And I was like, "Start making cashew cheeses. Get in on that. Get in on that line, right there. Make some money." But anyway, so all right, nobody's asked any questions. So I guess we'll just leave it at that. I'm hoping everybody's going to check out your channel. Um, I know I'm really happy to have you on. Um, there were a lot of people on here that said hello. You can see the chat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I can.
Yeah. Okay. So, but Vitor, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate it so much, especially you're such a big YouTuber to me.
Thank you so much. And I
40,
would like to.
43 over what? No, over 23K is
Mhm.
how many you
That,
have. So everybody
that's a
needs to
lot.
check that out. That is a lot.
Yeah, I'm always surprised when I look at it and I remember those days when I was trying to get to the first 1,000.
Well, you put a lot of work into your videos, and you can tell just by looking at your thumbnails, you can tell. So, but I'll
Thank you.
definitely be tuning in more, and I appreciate you coming on here and spending a little time with me today and letting us know what it's like to be vegan in your part of the world.
My
So,
pleasure. And let
it's
me say
really,
once more, I love this project that you're doing. I love this idea and the way
thank
you
you.
structured it. It's made like so professionally, and it's been a pleasure talking to you. And I'm hoping that more and more people watch it and get to know like different cultures. I'm really passionate about it, and I'm pretty sure that this content is really rich and people need to watch it.
Thank you so much. That's very lovely to say. Well, hopefully, I'll get a bunch of your followers. So,
Hopefully, yeah.
all right. So I'll go ahead and let you go. We're about an hour and 20 minutes in. That's a perfect time. So, any last words? Anything else? Any last things you want to say?
Not really. Just
Okay.
go vegan.
Okay. Go vegan. All right. All right. Well, you have a great night. I know you're only about an hour ahead of me, but you have the great rest of your evening. And I hope that we keep in touch. You give me your mom's stroganoff recipe, please.
I will.
Okay. I'll say goodnight to you. Goodbye.
Bye bye. See
All
you.
right. Take care.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. I was so happy to talk to him. He's a great guy. Really wonderful guy. And I want to thank everybody that stuck around for that conversation. I hope you enjoyed him as much as I did. You really need to check out his YouTube channel. Check him out on Instagram. All the information is below the video. So, yeah, he has a great video, or he has a great channel, and you can watch it in English subtitles if that's what you speak. If you speak English, I'm assuming if you're watching me, you do. So, for any of his fans that may be watching this, I hope you speak English because I don't speak Portuguese. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. Thanks again, everybody, for hanging around. I want to let you know a little bit about my next guest. Next week, next Wednesday, I am going to be talking to another YouTuber and incredible activist from Mexico. Her name is She's known as Polifacetica. So if you aren't familiar with her, try to check out her YouTube channel. Huge activist there. So I'm not really sure what part of Mexico she's in just yet. She is, as her name suggests, multifaceted, which is what that means in Spanish. Polifacetica means multifaceted, and she is pretty much a self-proclaimed nomad. So right now she's kind of moving around, but she is going to settle down long enough to talk to us next Wednesday. So please keep an eye out for that, and I hope to see you soon. Love you guys. Bye.